All right, so here we are working on our second Loomis head progression. We have already completed the profile view. We are today going to be working on the front view, and then on the right side here you can see the 3/4 turn that we are going to be working on another day. You're going to start by dividing your paper into the 12 square grid that we have already done once before. So folding your paper into half twice the long way so that you are folding the short edges together to create a long vertical rectangle, and then folding the top down and the bottom up to create the 12 squares. And so these don't have to be exact, but approximate, and giving yourself enough room in each of the boxes to both label them and to draw your figures. Two different colored pencil crayons is going to be useful for you in this, a light color and a darker color, one that is more vibrant and easier to see than the other. So you can draw repeated lines and new lines for these. So all of these start the same in box number 1. We are going to begin with the cranial mass. Getting good at drawing circles is really important. They're going to help you. The more accurate your circles are, the more accurate your proportions are going to be. So cranial mass, we're drawing that sphere. Again, try to think of these as 3-dimensional objects, not as 2D objects. So spheres, not circles. In box number 2, we're going to repeat that, starting with that cranial mass. And then we're going to put in the side planes. Now the side planes, again, if we're thinking of this as a sphere and we want the side planes to be flat, think of it like an apple that you cut the sides off of. And so we're going to cut the sides off of the apple here and here. And you should be able to fit, if you envision a perfect square inside that circle that you've drawn, that's where your side planes are going to go. It's going to help you gauge how tall they need to be, how far apart they need to be, but you should have an approximate equal square inside that circle. So those are your side planes. In box number 3, we are going to add in our brow line. So again, repeating the previous steps, cranial mass, picturing where that perfect square would fit inside there, and we're drawing the sides of that to create our side planes. And then our brow line cuts straight through the center. And the brow line never changes. It always goes through the center of that sphere. Repeat those steps in box number 4, cranial mass. Side planes, picture the square. Brow line. And we are adding in our nose line here. And the nose line goes across the bottom of the side planes. So at the bottom of my side planes and here, my nose line goes between those 2 points. Okay. On to box number 5, repeating all of that information. Cranial mass, side planes, picture the square. Brow line straight through the center horizontally. Nose line across the bottom, and we're adding in that chin line. And again, the distance from here to here is the same as the distance from here to here. So they're equidistant apart. So there's my chin. This is a front-facing view, so it should be relatively centered. Repeating all of that information in box number 6. Cranial mass. Find the square to create your side planes. Brow line. Nose line across the bottom of the side planes. Chin line. And we are adding in the center line. And this is going to be a vertical line that extends from the top of the forehead straight down to the center of the chin. And that should be done in red here. Okay, so there's your center line. In box number 7, repeat all of that information. Cranial mass. Side planes. Brow line. Nose line. Chin line. Center line. And in box number 7, we're going to add the ears. Typically, we would split that side plane in half to create quadrants and then add the ear in the lower rear quadrant. When we're looking at it from the head front, we're just going to be seeing the ear sticking out. And we need to also remember, too, that when we're looking at the face from the front here, these side planes that we've added on, we've cut this portion of the sphere off on either side. So we're imagining that it's not there. You're not going to add your ears onto the outside of this circle. Okay, that wouldn't make sense because it would have nothing to attach to. We've eliminated that. So we're going to add the ear onto this line here between the brow line and the nose line. So on both sides, we're repeating that information there. I don't know why my pen keeps jumping off to the side there. Okay, and so those are your ears there. Okay, again, important. Okay. Between the brow line and the nose line. In box number 8, we're repeating all of that information, and we are going to add our front plane separations or our delineations. So cranial mass, side planes, again envisioning that square that fits inside the circle, brow line, nose line, chin line, okay, center line, ears. Now to place the side plane delineations, I need to decide how wide my chin is going to be. I'm not going to connect them to this point at the bottom of my center line. It's going to give me a very, very pointed and narrow chin, which is just not realistic. And so I need to go back and I need to decide how wide my chin is going to be. Approximately equal amounts on both sides. And some people have very broad chins and some people have very narrow chins. And then I'm going to use my S curve going around the mouth and then up over the ear. So I'm connecting where the ear and the brow line match. I'm flipping that around, doing the opposite on the other side, around where the mouth would go, up to the brow line. And this is going to help you locate your cheekbones. It helps us place the eyes later. It helps us place the mouth later. And repeating all of that information in box number 9. Cranial mass, side planes, brow line, nose line, chin line, center line, ears. Decide how wide your chin is going to be around the mouth and to the top of the ear. Here we're going to add in the jaw. The jaw extends from just in front of the ear, drops down slightly, and then there is a curve. I don't want to have sharp corners there. There is a curve that comes and connects down to the corner of the chin. Okay, on both sides, I'm going to drop down slightly and then curve and connect into the corner of the chin. And so this jaw here is pretty wide. If I wanted to make it a narrower jaw, I would simply draw the line coming in at a narrower angle. Repeating all of that information in box number 10. Cranial mass, side planes, brow line, nose line, chin line, center line, ears. Decide how wide your chin is going to be, side plane separations, and then jaw. Here we're adding in the hairline. The hairline goes across the top of the side planes and then recedes back slightly as it goes across the top of the skull. Right? It's curving around that curvature. It's following it. When it hits these side planes where it turns here and here, it's going to angle downwards towards the ear. Okay? There's going to be my hairline there. The last box here, number 11. Before we move on to the shading portion, we're going to do the neck. So make sure that you're leaving yourself a little bit of space here. Cranial mass, side planes, cutting off the sides of those apples. Picture where that invisible square is on the inside of that circle. Brow line, nose line, chin line, center line. Ears are going down here between the brow and the nose. Decide how wide your chin is going to be, around the mouth and over the ears. Make sure you're mirroring it. Drop the jaw down and connect it into the chin. Hairline is across the top of the side planes, receding a little bit as it goes towards the top of the head, and then it angles down towards the ears when it gets towards the side plane. Now the neck is going to drop down from the ears and come down, and then it's going to angle forward. Remember that the neck is longer in the front of the body where it connects to your clavicle than it is at the back where it connects to your traps. And so the neck is going to come down below the ears here into around the chin or just below the chin, and then it's going to connect down to the clavicle or that collarbone in the front of the body. And so you have the neck that's there. And if we eliminate the side planes of the head on both sides here, we can see more of the actual shape of the head that we've created here. And so this becomes the contour of the head around here with the ears. And these are pretty big ears, which is fine. And then the jaw dropping in towards the chin there. Now this, just like a cube, like we've done with other things, has 3 distinct planes on it, or 4 in this case, because we can see 2 side planes, the left and the right, the front and the top. So we're going to show those again here just by redrawing this, and then you're going to shade it in, demonstrating your understanding of the forms and applying what you've learned about shading both flat and curved surfaces. So here we have the cranial mass, the side planes, the brow line, we know it's going to be here. The hairline I'm going to add in right now up at the top. Now these steps, these are the 10, which one of the steps has been divided into 2, so there's 11 steps. The order that you do them in is less important than getting all of the steps there, right? So I've done my hairline first, then I did my brow, my nose, and my chin line. Now I'm going to put my center line in. I can add my ears between the brow and the nose. I know where things go. I can move around and not follow the process as a step-by-step process, but just as a guide, making sure I'm getting all of the parts. And coming around the mouth, adding that jaw in, that neck coming down below the chin and then angled towards the front of the body. And my hair is here. These little portions on the side, we're pretending those don't exist, right? We've cut that part of the apple off. All right, now you have your planes in here. The first one is the top plane. That one's easy. That is the top of the head. It includes the hair and everything up down to the hairline, right? There's plane 1. This one's facing the light if our light source is above here. So it's not going to receive a lot of value. The front of the face is another plane, right? This is facing directly towards us, and it's curving around those cheekbones and those sockets that are being created down to the bottom of the chin. And this is a rather wide chin. I think that's okay. So this is another plane here. This one's probably going to receive a middle value. Remembering that things get darker as they move away from our light source. So I'm going to create a gradient that goes up the head where it reduces its value as it gets closer to my light source. And then my other plane is the side of the head and includes the ear and the jaw. So this is my third plane here, and I can see it on both sides. And this is typically going to be much darker. And there's a whole bunch of interesting architecture and stuff that happens on the inside of the ear with cartilage and fatty tissues. We're going to do a whole unit on that later, so don't worry about that now. Just include it as part of the side plane of the head. And then, of course, lastly is the neck at the bottom, and we're going to treat that one like a standard cylinder. And so just darker on the edges and then have it fade out to lighter value as it gets towards the larynx or or the Adam's apple or voice box or however we think of that. And so that's giving you the standard proportions that we can see and understand where the face is going to go, as well as showing that you understand how to render it into a three-dimensional form. So there are the 12 steps, or sorry, 11 steps for creating the Loomis head in front view.